Hello, hello, and welcome again back to the Visibility Corner with yours truly, Barbara J. Beckley. This is a show to maximize your reach, your impact with experts that are out there doing their thing, that are being a lighthouse to the world for others, and that understand how showing up, being out there, and making sure that they are visible. I tell that to everybody. I don't know how, and I'm just going to put it out there. You know, I'm raw with that. Is I don't know how you think that your gifts are going to be out there hidden. You shouldn't be hiding your gifts. They are too important, not just for yourself in your own life, but others will learn and grow from you. People are waiting for you to come out there and be who you are. So, with that said, I bring on some examples, some experts that I have met either just a little while ago or been knowing a long time. And sometimes, you meet certain people, and this is true. I know everybody has this. You meet certain individuals that you just met and you feel like you've been knowing them for like forever because they just gel with you. There's that positive energy, and you just know that they have a spark in this world. And this is the person I'm bringing on right now, Mr. Paul Lawrence Vance. I'm telling you, a celebrity of himself. He's a celebrity now. He is an international speaker, two-time first best-selling author of the book Leadership is Influence. He's also delivers leadership development workshops to business leaders and organizations to help them develop other members of the organization. Paul is a leadership expert, having served over 20 years in the USAF as a military officer, having served 12 consecutive years in the Pentagon and a year as a Capitol Hill fellow worker, working for a member of the Congress in the U.S. House of Representatives. What did I tell you? Paul retired with the rank of lieutenant colonel. He's attended every leadership school the USAF offered. I love that. He's the founder president of Wealth Building Academy, LLC, a leadership consultant. Now, if you can't learn from this king, because when I bring women on, I call them queens. But when I have the men come on, they are kings and they wear their crown upright together. With that said, we are going to bring on this king so we can learn some things. So get your pen and get your paper, because you're going to have to write down these golden nuggets that he's going to be dropping for you. We will be right back with this wonderful king. I am humbled to have you on my show, Mr. Paul. King Paul. How are you doing today, sir?
Barbara, I'm doing just excellent, and thank you so much for being the host of this amazing show and having me on as a guest. It's really an honor, and I look forward to sharing not only with you, but with all the listeners and viewers that are part of your particular program. So thank you so much for being here. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I appreciate you. I always think at the beginning, because like I said, you could be doing anything else today, but you took the time out to be on the Visibility Corner with me to basically share your expertise and a lot of things. I mean, just reading the bio, you are a celebrity. You're a celebrity. You have been doing this for a while. You have been consistent in what you do. You are just, yeah, phenomenal. I'm just going to put it out there, phenomenal. And you define visibility. I mean, this is about the visibility part, and you define it with everything that you've done. And I want to just, before we go into some things that you do far as, the leadership part of it and really helping others in that area, is I like to pull back the curtain a little bit. Now, I know I read a little bit off of some things that you have done, but I know you could tell the story better of how you decided to say, you know what, I want to do this, what I'm doing now. I just want to do it forever, the rest of my life, especially being retired. So can you just give us just a little take on that?
Yes, and thank you so much, Barbara, and thanks for asking how did I arrive here. And when I look at the genesis of getting involved in leadership, of course, it does have to do with being in the Air Force for over 20 years. And when I summed up my story over those 20 years, it was all about leadership. But the leadership started when I was 10 years old, when I started working for my parents' grocery store. And fast forward, after I retired from the Air Force, I just decided, what is it that I can offer people that is of great value and that has helped my life? And it was leadership. And so, why leadership? Because we all have to lead our lives. A lot of people don't think of it in those terms, but when we look at successful people, they really lead their lives. And so, when we look at people who maybe not as successful, oftentimes that's the result of them not leading their life and going into the direction they should go. And that's why I decided to take up this particular area of expertise as a part of my life, is who I am, and it actually is what in part of everyone else's life as well.
Yeah. Definitely, definitely. And I like how you said that, in all of our lives, we're all going to be leaders. There's no really way getting around it, even if it's just leading to you for yourself. I tell people,
Correct.
I said, even if you're not leading anybody, you're going to be leading yourself in this lifetime. So I'm glad
Absolutely.
that you made that point. Very important. And even in your book, I love what you said, leadership is influence.
Yes.
And I know for myself, you said the age of 10, sir.
Over 10. Yes.
Why can I see you at the age of 10 just doing your thing in the store and making sure everything is right and doing everything?
Yes.
I can see that. I can see that with you. And then being in the Air Force and doing that for so long. And it seemed like all of your life, like you said, you've been hitting the leadership platform all the time.
Yes.
Um, so I want to ask, because some people, I like to dig into this too. Some people confuse leadership with manage. And I want you to kind of just give a little take on that, because I think, I understand, I tell people there's a difference, but some
Yeah.
people kind of, you know,
Hmm.
so I want you to kind of explain a little bit about that.
Well, first of all, Barbara, that's a great question. And what it entails is that we manage things. We manage resources.
Mm.
For example, when I was in the Air Force, I managed multi-billion-dollar programs. But I also led people, and there's a big difference. And I want to use a quote from one of my mentors, the late Admiral Grace Hooper. And her comment was, we manage things and we're managing too much. We should lead people. And as I'm sitting in my first leadership program there in Montgomery, Alabama, she was a guest speaker. And I never forgot that. And the reason why that's so important is because we tend to want to manage people. And when we manage people, we overmanage them. But when we lead people, that's where the influence comes in. We get them to do things that, as a part of the organization or corporate vision, the goals, the expectations. And that's all about leading. It's influencing people to do things sometimes they really don't want to do, right? But when we manage people, we tend to overmanage. And I'll give you an example of a poor manager. I talk about that in the book, Leadership is Influence. And what he did, he was a military officer. What he did, he would berate his subordinates in front of their peers, in front of the coworkers, which is a no-no. So that's the definition of overmanaging. And in fact, at this very moment, he's actually being investigated for
Ooh.
what he did because he had a toxic work environment taking place. And so that's why it's important. Had he reversed course, say, hey, you made a mistake. Let's go into the office and talk about it. You can't do that out in public because it really doesn't work in today's generation. So
Yeah.
leading makes the difference, and management is just a next tier of it, part of it.
Yes, I love that, and thank you for that example. And it's funny you mentioned about nowadays. Yeah, the youth, they don't.
You're not
You
hearing
they don't hear that. They're not hearing what we say. It's like you say something like you need to. They be like, okay, well, I'll just find somewhere else to go, and they do it, and they leave. And on one hand, I like the boldness. Okay, I like
it.
that. They feel like they. But the other hand, I'm like, you can learn so much
Absolutely.
if it's the right
Absolutely.
leader. So I wanted to wow, Paul, I always say, I tell people, I'm glad you had that example about leadership versus management, because I tell people when you said manage things, we manage things, that was powerful, because people don't really realize that.
Yeah.
You leadership, you're leading people, you're basically helping them understand who they are by
Yes.
leading to their purpose or their passion in life.
Yeah.
And you're giving them those tools instead of say, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's like more so it's like, well, how do you feel in this position? Maybe it's not the right one for you. Maybe we need to try another skill set that you might like. See, those are, you ask the questions more so than telling. That's what I feel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know something else, Barbara, what has happened when we look at after the pandemic, before the pandemic, things were not so deliberate. A person wouldn't say, "Hey, I'll leave this job, I'll go somewhere else." But after the pandemic, when people saw that they can do things virtually, it's game on, and people are making those decisions. Well, I'm not coming back to the office, and now we have the hybrid workplaces. And
Yeah.
some companies are saying, if you don't come in, you're going to lose your job. And people are like, fine, no problem. But see, again, it comes down to leadership. Are you willing to lose the talent? Because really, when you lead, you're leading people with talent, and you don't want to lose that talent because it takes so much more to retrain people, and it takes years. And so leadership is really the key. And again, with influence being the most important aspect of that.
Yes. Yeah. And and it's the old saying, which is a good saying. A lot of old sayings I tell people are good sayings. Like, you know what, if you're going to lead, you have to be an example of that. So if I'm going to tell somebody, or well, ask, I'm going to say that I get in trouble when I say tell. When I ask somebody to do something,
Uh-huh.
then I have to be willing to do it too as a leader. If
Very
I'm
true.
not willing to do it, then I have to be an example for that person.
Absolutely. We can look at some good examples of leadership. I want to just share one. And we can look at the recent strikes that were taking place all over the place. The Screen Actors Guild, we have the United Auto Workers, we had Kaiser Permanente, we had John Deere tractors, all kinds. And with those were leadership calls that people made and said, well, we'll let them go on strike. And it was a big mistake because you lose money. I'll give an example. With UAW, when they went on strike in the first 10 days, they lost $5 billion because 150,000 employees went through the work stoppage. Whereas they settled the contract dispute and the worker benefits issue, but it cost them so much money when they could have probably done that in the first couple of weeks or not to go through it at all. I'll give you another example. I'm a former employee of United Parcel Service. I worked there 4 years in college. They saw what was happening. The truck drivers were going to go on strike, and they decided, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to give you what you want. We're going to increase your salary. We're going to actually put air conditioning in those hot trucks.
Oh, I know that was.
That was a big thing. And so they were able to avoid that strike, and the goodwill between the employee and the union and the company is good for several years. And so the leadership made a great decision. They let people know that they really cared and they valued them. And that's what leadership is supposed to be all about.
Yes. Well, Paul, see, King, you said some valuable gold nuggets, like you said, they valued their employees, and they were smart. Like you said, they didn't lose the money that they could have lost if it went the other route, which what the other company, like you said, did, where you said
Yeah,
million?
yeah,
That's
5 billion in 10 days.
$1 billion.
Five
That's
billion.
that's
That's
a
a lot
lot.
of money. Yeah,
Yes. Just to try to say you want to prove a point.
exactly. Exactly.
I don't, that kind of prove a point. I don't like that because
That's a lot of
that's
money.
expensive. That's expensive proving a point.
And see, the interesting thing about it is that they probably wouldn't, it'll take years to recapture that loss. It'll take
Yes.
years. And part of the issue with the UAW, and the reason why I talk about this is because my father was the president of a local union in North Carolina for 20 years. So I grew up with this. So I know what's taking place, the negotiation, the behind the scenes, but mostly it's respecting the employees. And you know why? Because these companies, UAW and some of the others, are making record profits, but they don't want to share it with employees.
Yeah.
That's the gist of what's taking place. And leadership would be smart, say, no, we're making record profits. Let's share this with the employees who are actually doing all of the work.
Yes. Yes.
And
And
so
then
that,
they make them, if they make them happy and they see that they have value in the company, they're
yeah,
going to work for you. Believe me, I think of where I work at. I've been in the insurance industry for over Don't tell my age, but that's okay. I'm proud of it.
Of course,
Like
I
almost
don't
40 years. Almost 40 years. The company I'm with right now, King, it's
know.
been, I'm going on my 25th year in
Oh,
January
well,
2024.
congratulations.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
and some people are like, congratulations, wow, you've been there. Others, the youth say, are you crazy? You've been here
Uh-huh.
that long. And I said, you know why? Because they valued me and I valued the company, and I didn't have any problems. Now, did we have issues? Was I upset about some things? Did I like a lot of things that the company did? No. I mean, that's just life, that's what happens. But I stayed there because they did value me in all the leadership that I was under, even the ones that were kind of that I wanted to go to another team. So I knew what to do too. But yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, for being there that long, just like how you have, sir, where you have been in certain areas for a long period of time, it wasn't always roses,
Oh, no,
but
not at all.
not at all, not at all. But there was something that they valued you for you to stay on and do what you've been doing.
Absolutely. And one of the things, and first of all, congratulations on your time there,
Thank
because
you.
that takes a lot of commitment, dedication, and also that passion and purpose. But one of the things I like to share with people when it comes to leadership is that, let's say an employee comes to the company,
Mhm.
no one ever tells them that they're a leader too, and they are. We have
Mhm.
managers who work under the leader with the title president, CEO, executive director for a nonprofit. The managers are leaders too. And I'll prove it how they are. First of all, the person in the job they're hired for example, I was hired with UPS and I had to load the trucks, 18-wheel trucks. I was young then, I could do that, right, all day. But I was a leader because I had to let the manager know, well, we're going to be able to complete this job today. We have these thousands
Mhm.
of boxes that we're sending within the state. Almay was the company. Almay does a lot of the perfume and different things like that. But I was
Mhm.
leading, but no one
Mhm.
ever told me. Then the manager is a leader too, because the manager controls the workflow. He's the
Mhm.
go-between the employee leader and the leader with the title. And so
Yes.
they have to manage that workflow. And so they're all leaders, but no one has told the manager and employees that they are.
Yeah. So it's almost like just this skill that they that's coming out of them that they don't even realize because they've been put in this position where they didn't realize that somewhere down the line I'm managing something here and I got to make sure it's working. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a great leader, the reason why I say it's the subtitle of my book is a three-pronged approach to becoming a leader of influence,
Mhm.
because the three-pronged approach takes into account you have to give that employee leader, that management leader, continuously study leadership.
Mhm.
And then the second step is give them leadership responsibilities. For example, we may put them on a project. They may be making widgets, as an example, but you're still giving them that leadership experience. And then you get them into the leadership training, leadership development workshops, and it all has to be a standardized program that the leader with the title, the manager leader, and the employee leader should all take and go through the same training. And what this does, it adds value to the company as a whole, and it gives them a competitive advantage. And it gives them a competitive advantage because most companies don't do this.
Oh, yeah.
And if we were to sell the business, as an example, the value of that business would increase as a result of them having most of their staff that has leadership expertise and experience. And the same thing holds true for college students. If they learn leadership at an early age when they apply for a job with a company and they put on there that they had leadership experience, if it was a student body president or a Greek leading a Greek organization, something of that sort, then that will also give them an advantage in the hiring process.
Yes, definitely, definitely. It's funny you said that because I know when I was in high school, like in my senior year, I took some people don't remember. I think they still have it where it was like a workforce type of
Right. Yeah, they still have it. Job,
they
it's like
still
a
have it.
job program. Yeah.
Yes,
So when you're
yes,
attending school, you actually go to a job.
Yes, I
Yeah.
did. So in the morning, I would,
Mhm.
you like you said, go to class, and then in the afternoon after that, I would go straight to work.
Right.
Um, and I would get credits for that. And I'm so glad because
Yes.
a lot of people, I remember that now I'm going back in my days. Some of the students like well, not me, but some students were like, I don't want to do it. I just want to just get through this. I just want to
Uh-huh.
graduate. I don't want to be working and all that kind of stuff. I'll think about that after, that's what they're thinking. But I
Yeah.
am so glad, King, that I took that on, because that's where I got my first job. And I started insurance at the age of 16
Oh, wow.
at that point, and now I'm 55, and I've
Right.
been doing it for this long because I started there, and it started,
Uh-huh.
training me to be on a job, to understand how to work the job, to do the respect part, to respect the leaders, respect
Exactly.
the managers, even though some of them didn't respect us, but like you said, they needed your teaching, they needed your training.
I would have trained them too. See, that's why I go back to that story. You started at 16, so you're an expert. And
Mhm.
for me, when I started at 10, working in my family store, I was an unpaid intern, right? I stocked the shelves. I would after school when the vendors would bring them milk, the fresh fish every Thursday. I would we would extend credit to people in the local community, a small community grocery store. But those same things I used once I worked for the United States Air Force we were purchasing aircraft, or when I worked with Mobile Oil Company as a financial analyst down in Texas, Beaumont,
Mhm.
Texas. And those same skills I learned at 10 I was using as a professional being paid for it. So that
I'm
really
glad.
worked out. Thanks, mom and dad.
That's what you see. That's what, yeah. You go back, you be like, well, thank you. I didn't even realize at the time. And I'm glad you brought that out, King, because you're right. Those, I call those transferable skills,
Sure.
and you can take them anywhere. And I
Anywhere.
always tell people, I said, transferable skills that you learn are so valuable,
Yes.
so valuable. I have taken on and I know just like your example, you said, you have taken on them skills through being in the Air Force, for being in the different, corporations you've been at, for
Sure.
teaching leadership. You have took all that with you to do so excellent in what you do.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And when I look at that assignment on Capitol Hill, I was still in the Air Force, and I just didn't wear a uniform. I wore a suit, so I worked for a member of Congress. And I think now, compared to when I worked there, is really dysfunctional on Capitol Hill. And the legislatures are elected to make people's lives better. And right now, that's really not happening, and it's hurting the American people.
Yeah.
And so a change has to come in because, again, this is a leadership void that we're experiencing right now. We're going through a leadership void. I would love to go to Capitol Hill and train them what to do because it
I
would
was
make our country better.
it's funny, you were just reading my mind, King, because I was about to say, could you go back? Do you feel like you got some time after all the busy stuff you do? Can you go back there and teach them? Can you, if they need your help?
I would be glad to help them because it's not that difficult. It's very foundationally, it's very easy to do, except you have to get a person, convince that person with what they're doing is right. And some of the things that they're doing wrong, they think they're doing it right, but they're not. If they were to be able to look at a television and look at themselves, how they act, they would change.
Yeah,
It's
that's yeah,
dysfunction. Yeah.
sir. Yeah, King, you wear this crown well. You are so right because I tell all you gotta do is something is look. I always tell because I do this to myself. I always tell myself, okay, Barbara, look in the mirror
Uh-huh.
and see what role that you played, what part that you played, and whatever that went down or whatever. I always say it to myself because it takes more than one person, and the
Yes.
blame factor is not going to get it. You
Exactly.
blaming everybody and not looking at you first. If you're
True.
a leader, like, and I know you can talk a little bit about this too. If you're a
Yes.
leader, you have that's a must.
It's a must. Absolutely. Because what we're talking about here is the quality of the leader. And so if we look at the very recent Speaker of the House election, there were people who applied and then they stepped down the following day. And so the quality of the leadership is lacking. Of course, another, when it comes to leadership, is really all about people. How are you able to lead people? And then communication skills, empathy. I mean, there's so many different aspects of it. And when we look at being able to make a decision, you might have to take a few risks as a leader. You can't be afraid to take risks. And then the leader himself has to be able to be the fall person if things don't work out, because you
Mhm.
can't blame it on the manager, leader, and the employee leader. It's all on the leader, him or herself.
You just said another golden nugget, King, because I see it all the time. And it's funny because I'm just use example what you just
Sure.
said about you have to be open to take the fall. And a
Yes.
lot of times people always try to, what's that saying, throw other people under the
Under the
bus.
bus. Exactly.
And they can do it quick. They'll do it quickly. They'll find any kind of way to say, okay, it happened over. It sounded like it started there. So yeah, they were the one, and I'm the type, and my manager laughs at me all the time. She said, Barbara, why do you always say I'll own it? I said, because I
Sure.
will. I said, if I messed up, if I missed something,
Sure.
if I didn't do what I was supposed to do, I'm going to own that. And I have to own the consequences for it, because
Absolutely.
I'm not going to sit there and say, well, you didn't tell me, or upper management didn't really say it like they should. I
Right.
missed the mark. And
Absolutely.
and I feel that's to me, that's showing true leadership. And I'm
That,
not saying that's the example I show, but just in general.
sure.
That's true
That's
leadership.
part of being a leader.
Yeah.
Is being
Yeah.
able to, we have broad shoulders, so we have to bear the problems that we have, the mistakes that we made. And besides, to me, making a mistake is not a big deal because it's all a part of learning. We learn from it. As long as we don't repeat it, it's okay. Failure is not final.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. King. You're right. It's like, okay, you learn from it, you got it, you
Right.
understand it, you went through it, you troubleshooted it. Now let's not try to do it
Yeah,
again
let's not do
if
it
you can
again.
avoid it.
Exactly. Absolutely.
I think
So,
that's what we all have to learn too.
absolutely. I had something interesting that happened to me. I want to share that just a little bit. And as my book actually came out, people would say, "Hey, you sell several books, but this one on leadership is not for me because I'm retired." And I told them, I said, "Yeah, I'm retired too, but you never stop being a leader from the day that you're conscious of who you are until the day that we make that transition. You have a life to lead." What do we do about our health? I mean, I'm the number one candidate. I need to improve my health. Number one candidate, right? And so you have to, that's a leadership thing. The food we eat, where do we go, the people we associate with, and then the different products that we buy. Even purchase the product is a leadership decision.
Yes.
Yeah, especially during these holidays where people they had a credit card on steroids, right? When December, January gets there, they're wondering, where did this come from? Right? But you have to be a leader and lead in your finance. So you want financial intelligence and
Mhm.
how to control all of that. So
Mhm.
there are many aspects of leadership. So when I tell people, I say, well, yeah, you retired, but you still have to lead your life.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why a lot of seniors get scammed, because what they probably should do, contact your sibling, let them know, hey, this person called me, I need to provide money for this, and they get scammed because they're ashamed to call and tell their son or daughter, or their niece or nephew that they're being scammed. They're afraid of that, and they lose a lot of money that way.
Yeah.
That's leadership too.
Yeah, I really hate when that happens. In fact, before, my mother's been 12 years since she passed. That happened to her because she was
Yeah,
ashamed to call me and
right,
tell me that, because she never she don't she was a person that was like, nobody's not gonna play me. She always would say that. She said, I never
sure.
get, and
Uh-huh.
then it happened. I'm just glad it was a small amount and
Exactly.
not a huge amount. But like
Uh,
you said, it's very important just to sell it, because it will save more money,
sure.
instead of causing more grief. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then
And oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, I was going to just say, when we look at leaders of influence, a few of them we know is Nelson Mandela, Dr. Martin Luther King,
Mhm.
Rosa Parks, Mahatma Gandhi, right? These are just a few of those. I met and I was introduced to Mrs. Coretta Scott King. She also was a leader of influence.
Yeah.
I was interviewed by Dr. Maya Angelou on Oprah Radio. She's a leader of influence. See? So
Ooh.
when we look at examples, those are
Mm.
some great examples.
Well, there's another one you missed, and that's Paul
Yeah.
Lawrence Vann. You know,
Hey, who is he? Oh yeah,
you get away, cannot get away.
I
you
learned
are
from them. Yes,
you
I
are a
learned.
huge influence. I am learning from you. So you're a giant just like they are. So I just want to let you know that.
Yeah,
This has been a privilege. Now, before we because boy, time I could be talking to you. This is such a good conversation. I was just looking, I was like, oh dang. King, I wanted just one real thing, if you don't mind, before I give you some time on the screen to, do any last thoughts. But I know
sure,
you're the founder and president of Wealth Building Academy LLC.
sure.
Can you just give us a little take on what you do in that position?
Capacity. Uh-huh. Sure, and thank you for asking. After I retired, I knew I would go into entrepreneurship. It just came right from my parents, right? They were entrepreneurs. And so I wanted to I started out speaking. I was a contractor for 2 years in the Pentagon, and I started speaking part-time. And so I decided, well, I have to form a company. So I formed this company. So I was hired to do a 12-city speaking tour. So I went on this 12-city speaking tour, and that really set the foundation. And then I started a publishing business, Laurel Reef Publishing. So now I have actually 4 books written, but 3 published. Then I have designed a leadership development course, digital course. And then I provide leadership development workshops in areas such as how coaching can help leadership, how to search for talent, how to provide one-on-one communications between the managers and employees. And so I do that. And then it's a leadership consultancy. So I provide consulting to different companies to help them with their developing other leaders with on their staff. And that's pretty much what I do.
Pretty much. I need to catch up.
You know, coming out of the Pentagon, you have to have a lot of juice, right? So I have a lot of juice. As they say, I have a lot left in the tank. Is the kind of the word
Wow.
people use. So this is the second chapter of my life, and I really love what I do. I really do. And so I provide this leadership because to me, the difference between success and failure is
Mm,
leadership.
mm,
And to be
mm.
an effective leader, you have to be an influential leader or a leader of influence. You can't, you can have, I can have all the leadership skill I have, but if I'm not teaching other people or training other people to have it, it's going to waste. So I have to train other people.
And you know what, King, that's what I'm saying. You just said just what I'm thinking about all the time when I'm doing what I do. I really want to be that leader because I can't tell people to be on screen. I can't tell people to be visible if I'm not doing it myself. So
Exactly.
you have paved the way. You're doing that in your lane of expertise and so many lanes that you have. I can't keep up with it. But out of everything, King, I just want to say you are so humble and you have a golden heart, and that's what keeps, I know that's what kept you going through all the things that you have done in your life. So thank you for showing up that way, because a lot of people need to look at that. I'm seeing a lot of people nowadays, the humble, I always ask people, so where's the humbleness? I'm like, it's all, oh, I'm this, I'm that, yeah. But I'm like, but you got to be humble as being a leader. That's
Yeah.
part of, to me, that's part of it. So thank you for showing that is this needed. It
Yes.
really
Yeah.
is.
It's
It
that
really is.
servant leadership.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what it
Yes.
is. And thank you so much.
So King, I want you to leave any lasting thoughts with the audience that you want. I will be right back, and I'll make sure that they get your contact information as you're talking to us. I'll be right back.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Well, I just had a wonderful time being with Visibility Corner with Barbara Beckley. It's such an honor. But what I want to share and leave with you all is one of my quotes I really enjoy. And it goes like this: believe in your dreams, and they will lead you to your destiny. And that's very true. Never give up on your dreams. Your dream is yours and yours alone. Other people are not going to agree with it. but it's your dream. So live out your dream with passion and purpose, and you too will have that success as you define it, not what others define it, but how you define it. And I'll leave with this, is that leadership to me is everything. How we go about leading our daily lives in terms of how the food we eat, the conditioning we have, the friendships that we have, and that we believe in something greater than ourselves. And I think it's very important for us to all have a goal in life and a mission in life, because it's all about, in the end, about the hope that we have, not only for ourselves, but also for our families, our friends, our community, and our country, and then humanity as a whole. So